Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Four Quarters podcast powered by Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, here with you once again. This is episode 14 of season 2 and could very well be the episode that I'm most excited for. I'm a Brock graduate, Brock guy through and through. I've heard everything about the school. You walk, talk, go to Brock, heard it all. Badgers guy through and through. Near and dear to my heart. This was a school I wanted to go to since I was younger and made it happen. So episode 14 for me was huge. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited the week leading up to this. I was. Even put on a button-up short sleeve dress shirt, dressed up for the occasion. Still have on athletic shorts right now. You can't see it, but business up top. It's all you see. It's all that matters. Having two Brock people on one show is big for me. Anyways, thrilled to have Brock Badgers women's basketball head coach and the reigning youth sports women's basketball national coach of the year, Mike Rao, on the podcast. And it was great to hear Mike's perspective on things, whether it was the 2019-2020 season, hearing about the process that led him to getting the job with the program in the first place, to the buildup over the last 2 years, which ended up resulting in an OUA championship this year and a U Sports silver medal this year. And how most people see the end result and think, oh, Brock came out of nowhere, when in reality, the process of the last 2 years has laid the foundation for them to make the run they did this year. And hearing Mike's perspective on that, the upcoming CEBL Summer Series and his role with the Guelph Nighthawks, which sees him be reunited with head coach Charles Kissi, who Mike worked under on the men's program at Brock for 2 seasons, starting in 2016, and now coaching with his son, Chris Rao, on the Guelph staff as well. We looked at what that means to him, and we talked a bit about one person in particular, Jay Smith, and what his coverage of the Brock women's program has meant to Mike, to the girls, to the college as a whole. Everybody needs themselves a Jay Smith. It goes without saying. So just start to finish, a fantastic chat. One, again, that I was thrilled to have. And unfortunately, I graduated in 2015. Mike started with the Badgers in 2016. So our timelines didn't overlap. But I've still been watching from the sidelines. Again, Brock, near and dear to my heart. You got to support the Badgers when you're a graduate. It's a crime if you don't. So with that all said, let's jump right in. Episode 14, the Four Quarters podcast, powered by Four Quarters Media, with not one, but 2 guys from Brock on one episode. This has to carry a lot of weight. With myself and Brock Badgers women's basketball head coach, Mike Rao. Enjoy. All right, so I'm now thrilled to be joined by Brock Badgers women's basketball head coach and the reigning U Sports women's basketball national coach of the year, Mike Rao. Mike, I want to thank you for taking time to do this. How are things on your end?
First of all, I want to thank you, Tyler, for having me on. It's a pleasure. I've heard several of your podcasts, and I think you're outstanding journalists and
Thank you.
talk show hosts. I don't know. Hopefully, this leads to some other things, and hopefully, I don't bring down your ratings. But
Hey, it's we've had Chris on twice already, so I think with you coaching at Brock, myself graduating from Brock, I think one episode counts as two for this one. So I think we're all even on the family scale right now.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, everybody here is doing well.
Good.
Everybody associated with the team is so far as well. We're keeping in touch, and we're just praying for the best.
I think that's the same boat everybody's in now, is just kind of pray, hope for the best. I think most places are entering phase 3 on the 17th, so that's a good sign. We're getting back to normal-ish, but I still think we're far away from this being over.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Stage 3 means they say up to 50 people. You can kind of gather. I don't know exactly what Brock's doing. I mean, they're working hard, to kind of figure out what the protocol is, how they're going to let us in, how they're going to let us out. I don't want us to be the team that steps ahead and then, oh my goodness, this is there's an outbreak with us, and then so we don't want that. We stayed pretty careful throughout this whole episode. So we kind of want to keep it that way now. The only way we're keeping on top of our girls is through virtual training, virtual skills session, and we have several things going. And I'm talking with the girls not every day, but we're together every week, and I talk to individuals almost on a weekly basis with other concerns. But for the most part, I think we got to take it slow. And take it slow, but the girls kind of know there's a sense of urgency in this. I mean, we want to see it go ahead. We're all waiting for that moment where we can step on the floor and go.
Yeah, and hopefully, like you said, nobody wants to be the first one in to kind of put the cart in front of the horse and be the first one at the gym. I mean, but at the same time, like you said, there's that urgency and there's that hunger to get back in and just get together, and groups, like you said, the groups expand to 50, and like you can have 100 people together outside, which is a big jump, which is kind of concerning, but we're kind of getting in that direction, that hopefully we get into a gym sometime soon and actually practice with each other and not have to use technology.
Exactly. I mean, technology is great, and it's got us through things, and it's kept people from being isolated. I believe that 100%. The technology is great. Things like this are absolutely not only, I think they're essential services to a degree, because they allow us to stay in touch with the game while apart from the game. And so, I keep my ear to the ground. I like listening to people. I like, seeing what their insight is, and seeing if I can steal any secrets really in. Sometimes that
it helps, and like using this, it's one thing to text and kind of communicate that way, but just having the technology like this to actually see the girls on the team or see the coaches that you're with or whoever, it helps when it's like this, because if you weren't able to see anybody or talk face to face, whether it's through Zoom or whatever, it would be a heck of a lot harder than just having to text and do whatever you could just to try and stay in touch.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I'm more of a phone guy. If I want to talk to a girl, I get on the phone, but it's not as good as Zoom meeting or something face to face, and wherever the media outlet is. But I got to understand where it's no use saying if this, if that. Just deal with what we got, and for me, that's about as good as it's going to get, and we got to keep going forward.
You got to use what you have, and like nobody's planned for a global pandemic, so you take it as it comes and use what you have and hope for the best and prepare and expect the worst, and we'll get out of this on the right side of it someday.
Exactly.
Hopefully sooner than later, but I don't want to rush it either.
I mean, I'm hoping we have some kind of year this year. Hoping we're playing this year. There's a lot of excitement around the team.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of excitement around the players. I think there's a lot of excitement around the school, how much I missed the game or I missed the gym. I don't know about the game, but I missed the gym an awful lot. And that's kind of my safe haven. And I don't think in all my years I knew that was it. And I figured it out after so many years. So.
Yeah. You've had a few years under your belt coaching, whether it's high school, university. But looking at this year, like you said, a lot of energy around the team based on how you guys did. OUA gold, obviously the U Sports silver. Just kind of get your thoughts on the year overall. I think it goes without saying, but just kind of your thoughts on how the year played out for the girls.
Yeah, it was. I mean, every girl you talk to is kind of super excited, and they're super excited after the fact. I think they're still on a cloud, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever bring it up. I mean, we're talking about it, so that's good. I mean, you know, it's a good memory for me. But stepping forward with the team, that's not anything we talk about really.
Right.
But the year to me was like I didn't quite see it coming, and I didn't. You know, everybody says after the fact, you got to kind of stay with it and enjoy it. You know, you got to enjoy the time. And I've coached for many years, and I've been in similar situations, not as high up, obviously at the high school level, but I've always approached this year where, you know, obviously the OUAs were great, but never kind of rested on that. There was always another game, another scout, another practice, another, you know, and you have to prepare for all those things. And I had a great staff. I had Rick Estracco on that staff, and he tremendous help. I had young kids like Matthew Tang and Jay Smith and and Ginny Cape, and I had some young Courtney McPherson. Had some young people really kind of. I kept them. They get excited. The young kids really get excited. But you know, my coaching staff, I kind of corralled them and said, "Hey, listen, let's come back to reality. Get in here, and you know, like, don't change. I mean, we're still wearing the same shirts we wore yesterday, same shoes. We didn't, you know, nothing is given, and you know, let's keep trudging along. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep doing what we're doing." So I never changed much in terms of that. Even after the fact, I don't think. Like from last year, from the year before, it's really like they asked me, you know, Mike, you coached all these years and stuff. Really, my first year at Brock was kind of my most memorable, the one I cherish. We were only a 500 team, so to me, it's not about wins and losses.
Right.
But the resolve that team had, the kind of the overall camaraderie, the dependency that they created on the floor with one another was something that I saw happening throughout the year. And although like we lost to Mac in the semis to the OUA, like I didn't understand, like we got to play opposition. Everybody's going crazy. We're in a playoff game, and they were telling me all these things, and which came in one ear and out the other. Believe me, so I don't know all those things. I can't tell you them all because I never pay attention to them. But we're super excited. But the game against Mac is memorable to me. It was a loss actually, 9 or 10 point loss. But for the minute 57, we're down one. We had the ball, and the team played and we had no business. But I'm telling you, their mindset and how hard they worked just leapfrogged us into this year. You know, and so they carried it on. You know, we had some great leadership with Melissa Taddy, you know, Jessica Morris, and you know, we had to add on with Sam Keltos, but we had a lot of walk-ons, like 4 walk-ons that helped us big. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And we had players that other teams, they didn't really play for other teams. They came in and
Mm-hmm.
they gave us a lot. They gave us a lot in terms of effort. So I think before you talk about like what this year meant, for me it started the year before.
Right.
For me it started. So it's a long process, like everything else. Players got better, but okay, they see, well, Sam scored 42. Tad scored 30 here. Morris scored 30 here. Jenica scored so many here. Sol scored so many there.
Mm-hmm.
Eden had big games here. These girls had all big games, but to me, it started months and year before. Like I could see it coming. So that's the beginning for me. It just didn't happen that day.
Mm-hmm.
It was happening for you. You say, wow, where'd she come from? But it started months and months before. And that's what I kind of see on a day-to-day basis,
Mm-hmm.
on a individual practice to individual practice, on a team practice to team practice. That's kind of what I see.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my insight. So I don't see a lot of things that fans or people talk about.
Right.
I keep it kind of myself, and I never get too high because, like we're fortunate too. We hit some shots, all these accolades and stuff. I don't know, like, they hit some, like Taddy hit some remarkable shots. Like they all played like crazy good. And then what do? They honor me. Well, that's not entirely fair or true. It's a team thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
how can I accept a coach of the year award? And I don't like it. Like really,
Okay.
I don't like it. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for other people, not really for me, because when I'm preaching to girls, say, listen, give up this shot, give up a good shot for a better shot.
Right.
Move the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your teammates. Do this, do that. If I'm going to preach that in practice, how can I take this honor? Like,
Right.
I don't know if you understand it. So to me, it's, I don't know. But so like I'm a little bit hard done for our team,
Mm-hmm.
team and for our situation. Other situations, the coach has got way more, done a lot more, and they're probably more deserving than I was this year because, for me, it was, my players, they bought into everything we were doing. So, I have to say that right out.
I like to, like you said, like I understand where you're coming from because it's, like you said, it's a team game and they did so much themselves on the floor. Like you said, you can preach, give up a good shot for a better shot, and then in games they do that. And I get where you're coming from, but I also like to, like, if you get, like you said, like everything, like media wise, it's essentially background noise. So if you get too high, you fall a lot harder. And if you get too high on yourselves, you kind of get comfortable. You maybe get a little complacent and overlook a team that maybe you shouldn't, and you're not as grounded as you should be. And then, like you said, you just kept trudging along and didn't change anything based on the situation. Just be who Brock basketball is, and you're going to be fine. Just play your game, essentially, and it all works out. And you also mentioned too, like everybody kind of looks at the end result and said, "Oh, Brock kind of came out of nowhere." But you look, like you said, you look back a year, and everything has to start somewhere. Everybody looks at the end goal, but doesn't look at the process to get to the end goal.
Exactly.
And they don't see the development or the players kind of grow themselves, that camaraderie, like you said too. Everybody just sees the finished product, and you hardly ever look at the behind the scenes to see how the product was made.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to round it out, or a good summation of what I'm thinking. Anyway, thank you.
That's why I have TV shows now, that how it's made to show you what happens. We need that for some programs to see how these winning programs are built, some behind the scenes kind of insight, or just more people paying attention to the season and not just focused on nationals and call it a day. But that's another hurdle for another day that we can hopefully fix down the
Yeah.
road.
I don't know what you get out of our process, but a lot of it probably would be a comedy show, I think, in most respects, because our approach is very different. At least mine is. It's kind of low key. It's it's not urgency. Is not it's more about the process, and some go faster than others, some go slower than others, and I think we go through the process together as player coach. But for me, it's important in those developmental stages where we get together with different players, and I think they understand my approach. My approach is kind of a little different. I got hired by the Holy Cross, so I carry that the Holy Cross Fathers. So I'm on my P's and Q's all the time. I'm not I'm not one to haul off on somebody, and I'm more trying to get into them. That doesn't mean I don't expect things, but my vocabulary is kind of it's not it's kind of general rated. It's it's anybody can come and listen to what I have to say, and when I have to make a point to a girl, a lot of times I use kind of in a joking manner. I use a kind like it's sometimes I'm biting, they say, but in a humorous way. So I use humor a lot. But sometimes my humor is biting. I got to say that. But I think they get it.
Hey, as long as they understand it, who cares how the message gets across? If it's more level-headed, even keel, G-rated, like you said, everybody, as long as they understand and they understand where you're coming from, you focus on those relationships anyways, as it seems, and understanding who they are, what makes them tick, and as long as they get it and they think that's whatever works, and G-rated, and having humor is always the best way to go about things, I find.
I don't nothing. I don't take. I really don't take myself too seriously, and I don't. Not everything's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's just I never preach. Hey, we got to win this game. You got to do this. I'm just more about let's play as hard as we can, as hard as we can for as long as we can. So that's kind of my approach. We preach effort a lot.
If you're too hard, if you're too serious with yourself too, life's never fun. If it's just if you can't laugh at yourself or with yourself or with the team or whatever, it's no fun.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
You mentioned Melissa and Jess a bit, senior leaders obviously this year. What did they mean to the program over their time with the Badgers?
Well, Melissa Taddy, her blueprint's all over this team, and it's going to continue to be like she set the tone, and she set the standard. And although she's gone, she's still there. She's still there because she's been with players. She's played with this group, with some of this group. I've coached her, so we've kind of set that level of expectation or standard, whatever you want to call it. Like I call it a blueprint, and that's the way we're going to approach things. And it's not so much in the way it is in the way she played, but in her attitude towards the game, her approach towards the game that is really, astounding, and so she, although you're going to see, you won't see her name this year, when we play, but believe me, she's there. Yeah. Believe me, she's there. And so she was very, very vital to I appreciate it a lot because when I first went in, when I first got the job, I don't know if you know this, the season was I got it August the 28th. So
yeah, I remember it was late. Yeah,
that was 2 days school starting, and his team has to go. They didn't have a coach all summer, nothing, nobody do anything. I didn't know I was getting the job until I was, I say the story. I was the only one in the hallway. They called me in and they said, "Mike, you want to give you the team." So I thought they made a mistake, or I thought I was the only one there. I didn't know. I didn't know what the situation was, and they just told me to keep the ship afloat. But I know when I got it, I talked to my wife quickly, but it took me the night to really say that, okay, because I had to talk to my wife. It was a big process. I was retired from work. I was retired from everything. I was given, I wasn't coaching anymore. And she said, do it. And so I did. But the first call I made went to Melissa Taddy. I said, and she was all set to go to Ryerson. She was, she was going, and I said, Melissa she goes, well, I want to go to a winning team, and Ryerson's. I know, but just give me a chance. Come to one practice, see what it's like. Do it, and you're familiar with it, and okay. And so she knew me a bit, but not really. But once she gave me a chance, and she's finally, after a few practices, she decided to stay. Like, things went on we're on the up curve after that. Our beginning, that first year wasn't good. We started off 0-3, but she saw what I saw. Her vision for the game is because it said 0-3, and everybody sees 0-3, but I saw progress. I saw development, and I could see us coming. I didn't know if it was good, and then all of a sudden we went on a 3-game win streak. We're at 500, so people are starting to get a little bit. Say, hey, settle down. And we lose a couple games, and we win a couple games. So we hovered around 500, but the end result was we were real good at the end. We were real good for our talent at the end. So, that was very, very important. Jess Morris was the next call I made, and she was negative. I'm never playing Brock basketball again. Never, It was not a good. She didn't have her basketball career wasn't fulfilled at all, and so I think at that point she had said, "I quit." So she came in not really in shape, not really, but I could see some skills, and not many to choose from. Believe me, if you saw her tryouts, you'd say, "Oh my goodness!" It was not good. So she was on a team, and I worked. She didn't really start till 3/4 of the way through the first year. And she really started to enjoy it. So I said, just give me a couple of practices, see if you like it. Then if you want to go, you can go. I mean, I'll drive you, and no hard feelings. But she said, okay, I'll give it a little more. I'll give it a little more time. And then she started to buy in. But by the end of that first year, man, she started being a player. She would start. And this year, everybody saw who Jess Morris was, and her and Taddy worked well together. And then you add, we had Sophia Caroche that came from nowhere to really give us a lift. And Courtney McPherson, who was on the team last year, my first year, really, she came around in January. And then she was a 4-point scorer whole year. For her whole, I don't know what she was doing, 4 points. And she was 7 or 8 boards, 9 boards. The last 6 games for us, she's a big reason why we went ahead. She was scoring 14, 15 points and grabbing 12 boards. And she got to a point where I couldn't take her off the floor. And then Eden Ferraro came from nowhere. Nobody even knew this girl. She came in and just really developed and just worked on her fitness and worked on everything and just did. And, Miranda Smith was a good, shooter who really helped us in her first year. And we had a lot of people that kind of came in and did a lot of things. Bailey Campbell, 5'9", 5'10". Didn't really play a lot. I said, Bailey, you're guarding the 6'2", the 6'3". She didn't look sideways. She's tough as nails.
Okay.
Just banging and looking at me. I said, listen, hammer away. And so she did. She got that East Coast kind of bang. Allie Columbus, the same thing. Just hard-nosed players, undersized. Just take bigger. I don't care if you fall. I don't care what you do. Just hammer away. Offensively, if you get an open shot, well, if you could see somebody, a better shooter, give it. And so that's where they were unselfish. It's at the end of the clock. You got to shoot it. Get every board, get everything you can. And, they had some good shooting games. But that was kind of the team that we had, And so that kind of, I think they really enjoyed the year, And when we lost, it wasn't bitter loss. Okay, girls, let's going back. All right, okay, we got to work on this, and this. No, let's go back. Forget about your record. I threw it all stats. I said, I don't care about stats. I didn't go into scouts with that. You got to work on this. No, I don't give them negative. No, I don't do that. Individuals, I know what they got to work on. That's what I do. But to put up something in the scout that you did crazy, because we got access to all video and stuff,
Right.
To put up, look at what you did here. Look at what you got to get back. No, I don't do that. I'm both positive clips, and I want you to see what you do well. I want you to see what you do. Keep doing this. Keep doing this. Keep doing this. So that process continued on to this year, and and then Sam came in and she bought in. It took her a little while, but she bought in. She was a little broken too, but she bought in and she healed quick, man. And she great. So I had all those pieces. How often do you get that?
Yeah.
Oh, but all those pieces coming in. I gave you 10, 12 names, and everybody contributed. They just came in and they just gave us so much. Nothing special. Believe me, we didn't do anything special.
Yeah.
But the one thing I like is we played hard. Even the games we lost, man, you're not pushing us around. You're not, it was always effort. It was always effort.
I think that's all you can ask is leave it on the floor. And if you lose, someone's got to lose. But as long as you leave everything you have on the floor, there's nothing more you can do. And it's some days teams are going to shoot better. Some days they're going to rebound you a little bit. If you lose a game and you come off thinking, I could have left more out there, then there's an issue. But if you have nothing left in the tank and you lose, some days that's how it happens. One team has to lose, and sometimes it's going to be you. That's the way life goes sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Is the noise okay? There's a little bit of noise. Do you hear it?
I thought it was me. I thought it was my guys outside. You're fine.
No. Okay. Well.
But it's always tough to getting the job 2-3 days before school starts. And again, I think that's one of the things that goes back to that process. And everybody sees the end goal. Nobody realizes, or the end result, nobody realizes you got a job 2 days before a season started and had to call 2 of your top players to essentially convince them to come back. And that's a lot. That's one thing that I don't think a lot of people will look at when they see that nationals silver medal. Oh, okay, this has been coming. No, it took some work and some convincing, I guess, to come to practice and buy in. If you don't like it, no hard feelings, but just give it a try, and you may like it sometimes. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's what it was. And you're right. They don't see that, but there's also I was in my first year. I was just trying to find some height, so I was in residence looking for tall people. I was on the soccer fields, on the rugby fields, just looking for somebody athletic. I invited more girls to come out, and we picked 4 or 5 walk-ons in that team.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's the makeup of this team. It's more blue collar. It's they know, as long as you work hard, and fitness is big. I got Taylor Thiessen, who's tremendous, who works with our girls and gets them in tip-top shape. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we're at either. But these girls, they buy in and they know it. They work hard. They're on the floor. I often tell them, it's in practice. I'm the coach, but really, I don't determine who's out there. You girls determine who's out there. The better players will play. If it's you, it's going to be you. And, I tell them all the time, they don't know, where their place is. The girls will tell you where your place is because, trust me, with this team, if I try to put in somebody that, I want to play because I want to give them a chance or because of this and that, believe me, I had 5 girls on my back saying, hey, Rail, why are you doing this? Because they want to win more than you. So I step out of line because they understood the process. We explain an awful lot. I want them to see that. I'm of the opinion that the more they know, the better off they'll be. I'm not one to kind of leave a lot off the table.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to see what I've got to see. They've got to see what I'm seeing, and that doesn't always happen. And I got to see what they're seeing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when either one of us steps out of line, like, you know, practice at times when somebody come into practice and see it, like it wasn't out of line for somebody to disagree with what I was saying, this and this, and they go off.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind of relationship we had. So I
Right.
would listen, say, you know, no, the bottom line is I'm going to make the decision,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I'll listen. And,
Yeah.
and things aren't, you know, things don't always go their way, but it doesn't always go my way either. But I tell you, the more understanding that we have between player to player and team to team, for us, that was more beneficial in the end, because they knew they could speak their mind. It's a safe place. They can speak their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I could speak my mind. And, you know, we kind of approached it that way. Like, you know, so it wasn't on a line. Like, somebody would come in and say, "Well, you let your girls yell at you like that." Well, I don't see it as yelling. They're trying to get their point across. They're working their butts off, and they're working hard. If she's got something to say, she's going to say it in her manner. But you put yourself in that position, how are you going to react to something that I say? You know, how? And so if it's upset, it's upset, but that's her. Okay, let's think about it. Sometimes I let him go. Sometimes I step in, I read the situation, and, you know, we go from there. But there's always that respect. You know, there's always respect, and that's all I could ask for. You know, it's great
having that transparency of just like they understand your processes, and then they understand why decisions are made, and then, like you said, they know why people are in certain situations and everything else. And I think it helps the team grow. Like, they know where you stand, you know where they stand. You can't, and everybody has their own way of getting the point across. If it's yelling in the moment, if it's aside after the fact, everybody has their own way. And if you go into it not willing to communicate and just, it's my way and that's it, the team's not going to grow. And you got to have that two-way. It's a two-way street. You can't just have a one-way, and it doesn't usually end well. That's when you get some heated words come out that aren't necessarily G-rated for some coaches.
Yeah, you're right, and I don't get to that point. So you're right.
Looking ahead, I guess we kind of touched on it a bit. There was an article by Brock, I think it was in May, end of May, about you and the constant learning the game and just always learning and growing. How important is it to continually learn, educate yourself, regardless of where you are in the game, age, whatever? Just how important is it to continually learn and grow?
Yeah. For me, I always have, after every year, I put myself through, it's pretty rigorous for me. And it's a test for me. I want to see how I did myself as a coach. And I try and be as I can with myself. But the bottom line for me is did this team get better from day one to the last day, whenever that is?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you got to understand, I've been coaching for 41, 42 years. I've been coaching since I was 14, more than that. So I've been coaching for more. I've been coaching since I was 14 at different levels, but always coaching. I had my own team when I was 14. Yeah, I'm 61 now. In grade 9, I just turned 14. I have my own team. I'm 61 now, and there's never been a year where I haven't been involved with a team coaching. Only 2 years with Kissi that I wasn't a head coach, but every one of those years were head coaches, except for those 2 with Kissi. So however many years that is. But every year I learn quick, and I learned from an old timer. But every year, the bottom line was, okay, X's and O's are one thing, this is one thing. And so you always got to learn, did your team get better from first day
Mm-hmm.
to the last day. And in every one of my years, we did it in varying degrees.
Yeah.
Varying degrees. But only 1 year can I actually say that we didn't. We didn't get better. And then I have to try and discover why.
Mm-hmm.
And that 1 year, still painstaking because I still go back to it. I say, I don't want to fall back into that trap. I know it's for me. It's not for every coach. You can't just put it out there. It's not a blueprint. It's not anything like that.
Right.
It's for me, for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Why? So I go back and I keep my practice plans. I got, you know, like I keep them. So I look back at that year, and I don't think I was as organized. I wasn't as maybe understanding, or
mm-hmm.
I wasn't willing to let this team go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what it was, different things, but that 1 year kind of gets me to where, okay, don't fall into this trap. There's a foxhole there. Don't step there. Go around it. Go around. So I keep going back to that 1 year.
Okay.
And it's only one, but I've been fortunate where I could say that my team's got better. Now, that doesn't always mean championships, of course not. But did I go? Because I've got bad teams that did extremely well, but nobody would have said, we made a playoff game, we lost it, and nobody would think, well, you didn't have a good year that year. Well, you're wrong, because we didn't have players, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. Like the year after I had a run in high school. We went to OFSA like 4 or 5, 6 years ago. But I grew those kids, and we were there. But I went for it all that 1 year, and we got there, and we medaled or whatever. We came close or whatever we did. And then the next year, but I sold the farm. The next year we were like grade 10s and 9s.
Okay.
And the record was only year that we had and year at Brock, I had a losing year.
Mm-hmm.
The only year we had a losing year, but everybody said, oh, yeah, it's terrible. But we had a tremendous year. We had a growth year. We're good because then we started our roll again.
Right.
That. So I don't know where the question went. So for me, I kind of self-evaluate myself, and it's a pretty rigorous thing. But learning for me is all about, okay, how can I better that? But I always want to try and stay on top of the game, see where it's going, and see what I want to emulate. Like, I'm not an original thinker. Like, everything we do is I've stolen from somewhere. Believe me, I've taken from this coach, taken from that coach, put in my own, put in my own way, teaching my own style, teaching my own. But they're all from where I stole. It's not an original game. Like, I don't know people that have that. So I need to keep growing that part of it. And then who I am is who I am. I try and grow as a person, try and be more understanding, try and listen a hell of a lot more than I used to, I think. So those are things that I work on.
Yeah. I think for like the younger kids or whoever, just coaches in general, I think just listen. Like, especially if you're trying to get into it or whatever industry it is, whether it's coaching or just professional life in general, just listen. Just pick those pieces. The way that you do it may be different than the way someone else does it, but just kind of pull little pieces of what you like about a system and make it your own. I'm not saying to go try and reinvent the wheel, because that's not going to work. The wheel's the wheel for a reason, but you can make it your own, like adapt and tweak the wheel to fit your system and whatever. But don't just try and reinvent it yourself, and don't just go into it thinking, I know everything. Just learn, listen, learn. And I think looking back at, you said whether it's the year or just looking back and reflecting on where you've been to where you are now, and learn how you grew. You don't have to talk to anybody else. Just look at your own path, I think, too, is a big way to learn where you were to where you are now, and use that to get where you want to be. I think self-reflection is a huge thing that not a lot of people utilize, and it's right at your fingertips.
Yeah, no, exactly. Listen, I got to bring you on the road because you interpret things a lot better than I say them. So
Okay.
yeah, that was perfect. And yeah, you're right. I mean, and in self-reflection, like myself, I'm pretty brutal. Like with myself, I it's I don't know. I don't. I really never. That's why I don't. I don't have a. I don't know what I can. I don't know what value sometimes I have or don't have because I'm always. I'm kind of always fearful. I'm kind of like, are we there? Are we not there? And I kind of always. I stay on track, but I don't know. I don't. I always have. I always have that thing that I'm not good enough, and I work from that premise all the time.
Yeah.
So like my family, everybody says like you're so negative, you're so this, you're so that, and I never. But that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
It's just that, and I can't repair that. I can't, and I don't know if that comes from self-reflection, which I do. I do it more than I should, but I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think you're always your own toughest critic, though. I think, and leave it to family to just tell you exactly how it is. You're always this. They always point out what you are. Leave it to family to have those conversations. But I think I'm the same way as you. Like I'm always, am I doing this enough, or is this good enough, or we're going in the right direction, or we're on the track, but how is it going, kind of thing. And I think we're always our own biggest critics, whether we like it or not. Really, I think it's the way we're wired, and it's like you said, you're who you are, and it's not going to change. And sometimes you need those people to say, okay, this is what you're doing, you are on the right track. But like I'm the same way. There's always that little in the back of your mind, a little bit of doubt. I don't know where this is going. Like, are we going right? Are we going left? Are we going backwards? Self-reflection doesn't always lead the right way sometimes.
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, and that's happened to me. You're right. But anyway.
It is what it is. We're where we are now. We got here somehow, and we'll just keep doing the same things until family keeps telling us we're too negative, and we try to change that somehow.
Exactly. I try, but I don't know. Not very successful.
No. I have to ask you about Jay Smith. You mentioned him earlier as a part of the team, and just his work to cover the team. What does that mean to you and to the girls, and just anything you have to say on Jay? I wouldn't be an honest conversation if I didn't bring him up, because I know the impact he's had on the team has been massive.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I don't know where you heard that from, but I'm glad you brought it up. He's huge for us, man. He keeps us he keeps us on the forefront of everybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's endeared himself to this team in ways that nobody can understand. If you know him personally, he's an introvert, but he's got a lot of ideas, and he's like, I love the kid. The kid is a fantastic kid. He's got a great mind for basketball.
Yeah,
he's like, people don't know. They see him as, he's a great writer. He's a super writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's written about everybody. He's putting them on all forms of social media. So the girls love it. They go crazy. They got game tapes. They got this. They got that. Their families don't even have that. Their families reach out to him. Out to me, like, what's going on? He's doing stuff that is painstaking, but he's brilliant at it. Mm-hmm. His writing's brilliant. He keeps us there. But, like, I see him at a different level. Mm-hmm. I have him in coaches' meetings.
Right.
He sits down and he listens. He listens intently. He does. And he looks like if you first see him, he looks like he's in the background. But you get him one-on-one, or like in our case, 3 or 4 and 4. The kid speaks his mind. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times we fought. I can't tell you how many times we argued. I can't tell you how many times, like, I argued with him. Like, are you kidding? But that kid comes right. He defends his point.
Yep.
He's got a lot of good ones, and he defeats me a lot. Like, he defeats me a lot, and I challenge him sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times he challenges me, and so he's on staff with us. Like I'll take him. This virtual thing is tailor-made for us. He's in our coaches meetings. He's done scouts for me. Like, nobody will tell you. He's done scouts for me. He's looking at players for me. He's doing all these things, all kind of behind the scenes, because he doesn't like the forefront for whatever reason. But he will be a definite asset to any program. Whenever he gets his break from someone, he's going to be fantastic. They just have to understand him. And there's not much to understand him other than just listen. Just listen, get out of his way. If he doesn't like something, he tells you. When he doesn't agree, he tells you. But, like, that's the environment that we created. He wants to do something. I let him go with it. Like, I let him go with it. And he's got a lot of input to what we do. And, I mean, I think he's been around his father, like, for his whole life, right? So he understands, like, the Raptors. He knows higher level than what we have. Yeah. But I tell you, his heart, he may have a lot of influence from his father at home with the Raptors and stuff. But I can tell you, his heart's with the Badger women. I can tell you that right off the bat, regardless of, the family connection with the Raptors. And, I've seen his father work. I've seen his father. We never really sat and talked much because his boys, like I call him my boy. Like, he's, he's, I don't know what else I can say about the kid, but he's intelligent. He's forthright. He's like, and he could be trusted. Like, with what he tells you, he does. He's very loyal. He's loyal to a fault with all the girls, and so he. I don't know. Just I don't have the words that he has to describe himself, or that you might have, but just a super, super, super young man.
Like you said, like, he's an introvert, but he lets his work and the girls speak for themselves. Like, he, on Instagram, I don't know how many season tapes or highlight tapes he's got on his to-do list, but he's up, like, I'm sitting here looking at his story, and he's up to like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., all-nighters doing these things. And I'm just like, well, get some sleep.
Yeah.
But that's he's driven and immensely dedicated to Brock basketball. And if I'm not mistaken, he's graduated now. Yeah. So he doesn't necessarily have to be. But he still is doing everything that he can because of the relationships, the teams, yourself. What he's just, it's inspirational, really, to be as dedicated and as driven to succeed like he is. It doesn't come around every day.
No, it doesn't, and you won't see that. You won't see that often.
No,
and I think if they write, a good movie would be of him and his development, and his growth, like, because he's just phenomenal. And we got another young kid that's in his footsteps. That kind of sees. I got a young kid by the name of Matthew Tang, who's kind of in his mold, but Jacob kind of showed him how to get there and the ropes just by his actions. And then Matthew kind of saw where it is and saw what we expected and saw what we want. And he's followed in, regardless of whether Jacob knows that or not. And I don't think he does, but this young man has just followed his step. And so, like, Taddy's blueprint's on this team. Jacob Smith's on this. His blueprint is, like, all over this team. And other people come in, and so the coaches' corners, the players, the coaches, everybody involved, involved in the team know his value, know who he is. Outside, you wouldn't know it, but he's an integral part of what we do. And I'm so happy that you saw that you see that, because you see the work he does, but he just does not get enough credit. He just does not get enough credit. And a lot of the girls, he does this throughout the year. He does it. I'm saying they feel so good about themselves and so valued that I can't put a measure on that, what it does for games, what it does in games and practice. I think it's huge, but nobody will say that. I think he's given us wins throughout the year just from his approach. You know, much like Taylor does, much like Rick does. Rick does it in his own way. Much like Matthew does a bit. Like, these are all pieces that I don't know what to say, but they're so valuable that people just don't see it. People don't see it. And you could stay here all day and talk about, okay, believe me, it's not alone. I'm on these guys' shoulder. Believe me, they're walking, and they're doing a lot of the walking.
Yeah. And again, it's that you see the end product, you see the coverage that he puts out, and that's what everybody sees. You don't see, again, the process, his development from year one to now, and all the work he's put in. And he doesn't do it for the spotlight at all. He would probably rather not have his face out there if he didn't have to. And like, I did the story on him back in December, I think it was, just to highlight, like, put him in a spotlight for once. And having you shared some words on him, and Melissa shared words on him too, and just to show that there is, like, that appreciation is there. And I'm sure he knows it from the team, but I think every team needs to have someone like him.
Invaluable.
You can't, like you said, you can't put a price on it. You can't put anything to put a value on that, because it's invaluable. Like you said, you hit it on the head with that, 100%.
Exactly.
Hopefully, every team can find themselves A.J. Smith or A. Jacob Smith, or just hire him. Just give him the break. Just give him the break he needs. His tracker, his resume's there. You see what he can do, and just give him the one break he needs.
Yeah, for sure. Now, that being said, we got to go into a coaches meeting on Monday, and I got to give it to him. So,
okay. So let you give it to him first, and then he might give it back to you, because this is coming out Thursday. Then he'll hopefully listen to it by Monday, and we'll have to see how that goes back and forth.
It will. Trust me.
I have to talk about Guelph before we wrap it up, and the Nighthawks. You are the lead assistant this season, and obviously it's a bit of a unique scenario, being all of the Meridian Center in St. Catharines. How did that opportunity come about for you? Obviously, you're reunited now with Charles Kissi, and Chris is on staff as well, but how did that kind of come about for you?
So I've been close. Charles kind of agreed. That was when I was assistant for a couple of years, and I think we worked well together. Now, when I say well, it's not like everybody sees well. Like, but we worked well together. I speak my mind too. But it's a different position when you're an assistant. Your head coach, you got to take. You have a lot more responsibility.
Right.
I love being an assistant because I was in the background. I could say what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I did so we got into coaches meeting, which he loves. He loves to hear. He's talk about a learner. That guy is a learner.
Yeah.
He just wants to learn all the time, right? So and he was good. And I would always give him, like, we would argue about stuff like all the time. And so, like, I'm loud and he's loud.
Yeah.
And he's younger. So he's got to put his footprint on everything, or his blueprint, or his handprint, whatever you call it. And so I'm not really like, it's good that we're not kind of like that, but we kind of, locked horns like many times. But and I came home at night. I told my wife. I said, "Pam, I think I got fired today, like because that's how much true I am." But I give the guy 1,000,000% credit because he never let that get in the way of the next day. It was always kind of forgot. Okay, let's carry on. We didn't always agree. We agreed sometimes didn't always agree. Came to head sometimes. He knew, but the next day was the next day, and for me that's the best way to operate. That's good because like who knows? What we said it off the cuff. Who's right? Who's wrong? But things worked out, and I then when he got the job anyway, I don't know, he just asked me, and I'm not ever going to say no to the guy. If he wants help with anything, I'm going to help him because he actually gave me the start at Brock.
Right.
I think he supported me with this women's, like he helped him and Joe Kenny, I think had a lot to do with me even getting the job at Brock for the women's team. I think, although, on paper, I really wasn't the qualified guy. I wasn't really the most qualified. I don't think they knew a lot about me other than, maybe they thought I was too old, and which is, I can respect. I can understand that. They don't know. Maybe they thought that. But Joe Kenny and Charles Kissi were two guys that kind of knew who I was more than anybody. And I think that kind of push with Chris Critelli kind of opening, kind of opening the door, gave me that chance to be here today. Really to be here today. I also want to be here, and so for that, there's nothing that any of those three could ask of me that I would say no to. I don't know why he asked me. I didn't go into it. He asked me. He said this. I said, okay, I'm on board. I don't ask many questions.
Right.
So I don't know. So I'm just there, and I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
Doing what.
The less questions you ask, the less answers you get, and it's a lot easier. I guess it's kind of silly. It sounds like when Donald Trump says, "The less you test, the less cases there are. The less questions you ask, the less answers." It's true. The less answers you get, and the better off we kind of are. It's the exact opposite of the testing, but that's another discussion for a non-basketball discussion that could go on for days.
Oh yeah, maybe weeks.
Well, it's gone on for 3 months now, and it's not getting any better. So, but how excited are you to coach alongside your son?
Yeah,
with Chris.
I mean, it's a unique opportunity. I mean, everybody made a big deal. Like, I'm kind of proud of the kid. I mean, I don't always say it, but he got the job at Niagara College at a very young age, and I don't mind saying that. 24. Like, and Michelle O'Keefe deserves a lot of credit. He's got a great mind. He's got a great mind for the game, and he's had it since, like, he's been at my side since he was 3. He's come to every game. He wouldn't let me out of his sight. Like, so we've been attached to the hip till he went to Cape Breton. Yeah. Then he worked with a former player, Matt Skin. So he's been in the game since he was 3. Great mind, super. So when he came back to coach, like at Niagara College, it's kind of, we're at odds. He's coaching the women.
Right.
We're trying to recruit the same players. Like, I'm really proud of him. I don't know how he got it. Like, I tell people, I've applied for that position at that school for 25 years. And
really,
I never got even, like, I put in my application, like the job may have come up 10 times, 11 times.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I put my name for the women's, the men's, because that's really the job I wanted, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
That's really the job I wanted.
Yeah.
But never got a sniff. Never got a sniff. So when he got it, I'm saying to myself, how the hell did he get this? Yeah. But, and I know his interviewing skills are better than mine. His insights they're more modern than mine. Mm-hmm. He finishes sentences. I don't. I speak in Like, they understand me. That's why I give my staff a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I give my team a lot of credit because a lot of times I don't finish sentences, but they understand me.
Yeah.
So those people around me know what I'm saying. But he interviews like really well. If you ask him about the game, he's insightful. He's passionate. He does all that. So to be alongside that, it's great. When we can work together, it's great. We do work together. It's great. But sometimes in the same house, we're living together and doing all these things. We lock horns. When you lock horns, it's tough because the basketball world, it's not. Basketball is not. It's not only mine. It's right. Like everybody's got a piece of it. So to say that I own it because of it, it's silly, stupid. Like it's ridiculous. So he understands the game the way he does. I understand the game the way I do. But both can work. Many different ways can work, and so I understand that. He gives me more insight into learning.
Yeah,
and he's he's helped me with technology. Great. Like we worked on one podcast together for Chris Oliver.
Yeah.
Our coaches summer. So we worked on it together. That was a lot of fun. And this is starting to be fun too. This is real good. I think he's getting he's biting his teeth, I think, or he's not whatever the term is. He's getting his feet wet.
Yeah.
And he's learning at a higher level, and he's learning what it's all about. And, like I hope he learns. I think he will.
Yeah.
But it's great to be along. I know it is.
Yeah, he, like you said off the top, he's been on here twice already, and he mentioned this one time you guys were both out recruiting, and you didn't tell each other where you were going, and walked into a gym, and there you are. Yeah,
it's crazy. And then we wouldn't tell each other who we were recruiting.
No.
I said, who are you looking at? And then he'd say, who are you looking at? I said, why don't you mind you? I said, I'm your dad. And then he doesn't call me dad, right? He calls me coach. And it infuriates me. He says, hey, coach, and I said, listen, I'm your father. I said, forget it. But on the court, we're coaches. Yeah. So I got to learn that part of it. So he's learned. He doesn't take a step back. Not for me either. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
I'd say that's it's going to create like him at Niagara, you at Brock, and same channels. It's going to create some interesting recruiting battles, conversations, the household. Your wife's going to kind of be the mediator, hopefully, keep everybody in line, or just bless her heart and just get out of the way and not take sides, because you don't want to make her pick sides. That's not going to end well for somebody.
Oh, she takes his side.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
But that being said, we do work together a lot with different players, and we recommend players for each other. And there's a couple girls that just aren't ready for university ball, and I slide them to Niagara College. Yeah. And I'm going to say, and if their goal is to play university ball, I said, give them a couple of years. And I said, I'm sure he's learned a lot. We're in the same mold. We're a little different, but we're in the same mold. I think in the future, Brock will be the recipient of some nice players coming from Niagara College. So in spite of everything that we kind of say and we kind of joke about, we're on the same page with women's basketball. He's into development like me, but we're working together. He tells me when he sees players, and I tell him when I see players. So we are together. I mean, it's for the betterment of the game, and if he doesn't have a chance at a girl, he lets me go. If I don't have a chance at a girl, I let him go. So he's recruited real well this year. Yeah, I think maybe better than me. I think. Although we're getting some good players in at Brock. Yeah. So getting a lot of interest.
And I think both, like you said, some girls are going to go there for 2 years first, and then you might be the recipient 2 years down the road. I think both programs are going to really benefit from that pipeline. Just go play your 2 years, play 1 year or 2 years, kind of mature a bit, understand the game at the next level, and then make the jump. And I think both programs are going to benefit.
Yeah,
For sure. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch from the outside anyways.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what will give us they call it sustainability, or that's what will give us, Dave Smart calls it that. That's what will give us the idea of staying at that level year after year after year. And that's what we're trying to work. It's hard to get there at first. It takes some years.
Right.
It might take 3 or 4 years, but the first or second step has already been taken. Yeah. And so in spite of everything else, I'm so glad he's in the area. I'm so glad he's coaching. I'm so glad that we're working together, not only in Guelph, but, outside in the basketball women's world. So it's super.
It's always good to work with family. People kind of see from the outside, like, hey, this is going to be different, and it is, but it's also a good different, because who else would you rather work with than family? It's always fun.
You're right.
One last quick one before we wrap it up for you. You mentioned kind of growing the game, and with the CEBL and the U Sports connection, I think it's brought a lot more eyes to the Canadian product. How important is it? How important is that partnership to really grow attention, bring more people to watch U Sports? How important is that partnership to grow the university game in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, I think my edict at this time, I keep my focus kind of focused. Although it's basketball, right now it's women's basketball. I really want to bring that to the limelight, because that's what I'm directly responsible for. And Christopher is too. To have the connection to the professional league, and knowing that that at least, the local college and the local university are involved at a higher level to bring basketball better to our own teams and to our own community and to our own area is very, very important. I can't stress it anymore. Learning, yes, but I think that kind of that connection is gonna really reap benefits for both the college and the university.
Right.
That being said, in terms of what we're doing, it's people. The women's game is getting so much better.
Yeah,
it's getting so much better. And so this year, we started off the year. I guess we started like last year. I can remember two years ago. If there were 10 people in the gym when we started the game, I overcounted. Believe me. And so, but as the year went on, more people. Well, I try to go around the university, engage some of the students, highlight some of the people. Jacob Smith had a lot to do with that. Yeah. So just make myself available. Hey, how you doing? What are you doing? What do you take? Oh, hey, listen, I coach women's basketball. Maybe you like to catch a game. Maybe it's great. Tickets are here. If you need a ticket, just give me a call. Things like that. And so create a little bit of a buzz. I got a group of guys for our scout team we practice against. So I got that we practiced against, not every day, but almost every day. So I engaged that community. So we try to get it together. I need to work more on that, but we're getting that together. But you can see from the first year, all of a sudden we had, by mid-season, a couple hundred people, 300 people. We're just coming in at halftime to see the men. They weren't just coming in near the end. They came to see our games, to see our game. And this year, if I can tell you from start 10, the amount of people that came out to games, that showed up at Ryerson, that showed up at Western, that showed up at our away games, it was incredible. It was just incredible. And so, but the product, the girls' game is gotten really good, really, really good. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah. I think all they have to do is go see it once. Just go in, watch a game. Don't come in with 5 minutes left in the fourth because you want a seat for the men's game. come at the start, watch it start to finish, you'll come back again. 100%. I have no doubts. You just have to get in the gym to watch it. And like I remember my time at Brock, and it was the women's games were quiet, to say the least. And to see like where it is now with 300, 400, 500 fans or more in the gym, it's you love to see it, and it's a result of all the hard work and that process of building the program. Everybody only sees the end result again, but it's that buildup that's gotten more people interested and involved as it's moved along, and everybody kind of jumped on for the ride.
That's true. Absolutely true. So for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and that's what we're trying to keep on building. I think it's important, and and I'll continue to do that for as long as I'm there.
Yeah, and as long as people just go watch a game, you'll be hooked, and you'll come back again and again, and then stay for the men's. Just come for both. Don't come for one or the other. Just stay for both. It's cheap 4 hours of entertainment and support the athletes at the same time. And like you said, the women's game is growing, and it's better than it's ever been, and it's only going to improve. It's not going to go backwards. It's just going to, like you said, just keep building off of the previous years, and we'll be rolling.
Thank you. Well put. Good, great message. Thank you.
I have one of those once in a while that everything kind of translates from head to verbal, and it doesn't happen often. So when it does, I'm glad it's on record that this can be played back again and again to say I have a good idea once in a while.
That was terrific. No, you had more than one good idea, but thank you. That was terrific.
Well, I guess, Mike, thank you for doing this. This was, as a Brock grad, this was a ton of fun for me. This is one I've been looking forward to. And unfortunately, I graduated and then you came in, so the times didn't overlap. But no, again, really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to do this.
Yeah. Listen, I appreciate it. Best of luck in the future. Thank God for 4 quarters. I don't know what else to say other than thank you for being. We're all Brock grads. So we're all brothers and sisters and alumni. We're family to a degree. And if you get out to a game, make sure you tell me. I'll get you tickets, and you can come in and do your thing whenever you want.
I appreciate that.
I would appreciate. I would love to have you speak to our girls if that's a possibility.
Absolutely.
I'll put you on camera, and maybe I'll probably hold you to it. But,
hold me to it.
Yeah, we'll give you some food, but you have to talk, and our budget's low, so
that's okay. That's all right. I'm a light eater when I talk, so that's quite all right.
If you want, but that's no, but but I love to have you.
Absolutely
speak to us.
I will. We'll work something out for that too, and then anything else you guys need. If you want to, every time you want to do this again, or get coaches or the girls on, we'll be happy to make it happen for you.
I appreciate that, and so I think our next outing, I'll have you because you got a lot of experience and you've talked to a lot of people, and I think I have a few questions for you to kind of to talk to the girls, not necessarily, but some message questions, just to because I think they're young and they need to hear from different people.
Yeah,
alumni is always big on my list.
Flip the roles a bit. Be on the other side of the questions. I'll have to get my wife to ask me stuff to practice.
Yeah, I'm not as good as you, but my questions will be, I'll let you roll.
That's quite all right. We'll set that up and we'll make it happen.
Perfect.